Okay, so this is a slightly unscripted recording, although obviously I've had to do it a couple of times with things going wrong. So this is a basic intro to how you might go about using nodenogg and some of the design decisions behind it. And so we'd love you, when I say we, I mean me, I'd love you to have a play with it and give us some feedback. And I'm going to put the link in the YouTube to our discourse where we can discuss the forum, and I'll put a particular link to this version. So this version is, if you click on the About tab at the top here, version 0.124, the end of September 2020. So it links directly to that, and that's the version I'm going to be talking about. Obviously I'll make a more scripted version of this, but I just want to talk a bit about what nodenogg is. So you can visit it now by going to alpha.nodenogg.in, and that will take you straight to this page. Nodenogg is a co-creation tool that allows you to work with other designers, your peers, to basically create, work around, think about ideas. So you want to think of it in the most simplest form. It's kind of the ability to create these post-it notes together and then provide some meaning with them. And so we actually call these nodes. So each of these things here is a node, and what you'll see here now is the onboarding nodes that help you to get into each thing. So I'm going to talk a bit about this. The other thing to bear in mind is this, it's very much like maybe something like Miro, those kind of things, but this has been built as a free Libra open source piece of software, so you can review all the code and you can even contribute to it. And the idea is that you'd be able to build your own pieces and transform the style and look and feel. This is the version that I'm building at the moment, and also I'm going to be writing about how this application was created and the idea of co-creation. So this has been made particularly with the support of a number of game design students who've helped me to test out the way that this works within an environment for generating those new ideas. And so I'm going to be writing about that, and hopefully come next summer you can read all about the project and its kind of history and some of the things that we found out through creating an open piece of software. The other thing to bear in mind is that it's very privacy centered, it's very humane centered design processes. So I'm really up for more feedback that helps to do those, and to push those things. I think one of the things I want to do in terms of inclusivity is to make, maybe the high contrast version be the default look and feel. So again, feel free to feedback in that instance. At the moment I've just added some colors that I quite like, that kind of work together. So the idea is this is a place you can create ideas really quickly together to co-create different kind of outcomes. So it's not designed just for collaboration, it's really designed around co-creation, this idea of thinking about things, and you can make various different things from it. You're not necessarily working towards the same goal, so you might be looking at themes. So I'm going to talk about a bit of that. So when you first arrive at alpha.nodenogg, you can basically type in a name. So the first thing to notice is there's no accounts. The information is initially stored locally in a pouch DB, and it is then, if you're working with others, synchronized to an instance of CouchDB. And for now, when you visit alpha.nodenogg, that's an instance that I'm running that allows you to see each other's work together in real time. That data isn't currently encrypted, so bear that in mind, and the idea is that you'd be able to connect this to whatever CouchDB you wanted to, your own somewhere else in the cloud maybe, or even better, one that's on a local machine. But the first thing to remember is that all the data is stored locally, and it's on your machine first, and then it synchronizes and then is stored on everyone else's machine. So it's a decentralized approach to these things. When you create your name, no one sees that. That information is anonymous to everyone else you're working with, so no one can tell who's creating what pieces of information. So this is the idea of creating a bit more of a flat hierarchy, because you can input stuff. It doesn't matter if you're the CTO or just one of the junior designers. So when you create a name, this is really what attaches the device to those pieces of information. So if you want to edit them, you can use the same name, but again, that information is stored locally, so unless you log out of your microcosm, then you will always come back to be able to edit your nodes. But I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we kind of go through. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a name. So I'm just going to call this Firefox, and then hit store. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into here, and I'm going to give my microcosm a name. So this is where everyone can work together. So this is the thing that you'd share. So I'm going to call this loom test and click create. Okay, so that then takes me into the microcosm. So now I'm in a microcosm. I can actually use this toolbar on the bottom, which we'll talk through in a second, to add things, but there's also these keyboard shortcuts. So again, if I want to, I can press the N key on the keyboard and I can just start typing in my new idea. So let's just add a couple of those so we've got some on screen. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to switch to another browser so you can see how someone else coming in could see this and how quick it is to get in. One of the things about when you're creating ideas or trying to thrash out initial thoughts is the barrier to getting that sort of from pen to paper has to be really, really low. So one of the things is, why people love great sketchbooks, great pens, is because it's really quick to translate that stuff from your head into an idea, and so obviously at this point this is typing, so there's still a little bit of a delay, but there are ways that we can kind of speed this up. So I'll just show you how that might work. So say we're working in a group and we've invited everyone else to come, so we tell them to go to this URL, and then they obviously give themselves a name. And what you can do is, what you'll see is when you arrive is if you just type, it will be the name box first. So look here, so I can just type in my name, I can hit return, that's saved. Okay, I can then, if I press tab, jump into the microcosm and I can type in the name of the microcosm. So if I type in loom test and then hit return, it will take me to that microcosm, so I'm getting really quickly. You can also, if you want to, you can share the URL of a /microcosm/loom test, and that would then pre-populate the microcosm field, and all they need to do is confirm a name of the device if they haven't visited previously, and just confirm that they want to enter that microcosm. So it's both ways are pretty quick. So again, depending on your browser, like if you create a new node here, I think in Safari it will automatically jump the cursor straight into the text field, so you can just start typing straight into the text field. And I will add a couple here just for the sake of it. So if I come out of that, now I'm using the keyboard shortcut N just to create a few of these. You'll notice this shortcut thing just stays locally where I put it. So for me in this browser here, I've got it down the bottom right, but if I go to my other browser, so this is something that you can have personally where you want it to be, and it's not stored anywhere special, so I can actually hide that if I wanted to. Okay, so what tends to happen then is when you're first in, what we found with a lot of students is they want to create ideas really quickly. So it's this collection mode that is kind of first important. So you kick out a theme and say, okay, what are your thoughts around the design challenges for environmental issues? And so they want to just quickly get out some ideas, maybe put in some links and those kind of things. So the mobile view is quite useful in this instance, because at the moment it's a really simplified view where you can just quickly create nodes and just type in some pieces here. So if you want to put in a link, you can just type it in here. This all takes markdown as well. So again, I'm just going to add a couple more. This is a quick, and so again, the idea then is you can just quickly sort of kind of thrash out these small pieces of information and general ideas. I'll switch back to the spatial view because this is where we're going to really have some fun. Obviously you can put in markdown, so if you use like hashes, you'll create header, and you can use a couple of asterisks for bold or single ones for italic. And if I switch this to read mode, because it's my node, because I can edit it, you'll see then that this is got some styling. Yeah. Okay. If I want to add a link, obviously I can do that with the markdown syntax for that. So this would be the URL, and this would be the thing you click, and then this would be the link itself. And again, if I switch to read mode, you can see now that will then take me, and it will open the same page. So you need to open a new tab if you wanted it to open a new tab. What you can also do then is obviously you can use Markdown for images, videos, those kind of things, and it's the same as a link, but you put an exclamation mark at the beginning. So it's exclamation mark, 2 square brackets, which will be the alt text, and then you've got your 2 parentheses. Yeah, is that the right word? Anyway, there's 2 rounded brackets. And you can then paste in like an image URL here. So I've already got an image URL that I just found through Google, and it's from Britannica, so they obviously own it. I can then paste that into there, so that's the thing, and I can put like image credit Britannica. I can't spell Britannica, but there we go. And then if I hit read mode here, you can see that that image is now on the screen. Okay. There's a bunch of other things I can do. So obviously I can press N to create new nodes. I can use the M key to sort of pan around my canvas. I can jump back to using the A or the S key to select my nodes. And remember, these are all moving in real time for everyone. So if I'm moving these ones around, then everyone else is seeing where they're being positioned. If I really like someone else's piece, then I can kind of vote it up. So if I think, you know, that's working really well, I'll maybe give it a few votes, and everyone can sort of give their own votes. And you can have, obviously you can have multiplayer, you can have as many people on here as you want. You know, we've had 15, 20 people contributing to a board. Obviously the board starts to get quite busy, and it's after that sort of initial collecting phase you want to start to organize things. So you sort of move from the collect phase to organize phase. You can upload local images as well, and I'll just step through that because it's a bit of a strange process at the moment. It's not as intuitive as it should be, obviously. But these images get sent to IPFS, which is Interplanetary File System, which is also a decentralized file system. There is no way of deleting them off there as far as I know at the moment. I haven't implemented any way of getting to those hashes, but obviously they are uploaded there. So if I click this upload, it will give me obviously my standard picker, and I can upload any files actually, but the way it's been implemented at the moment is it works best with images, but you can put anything in there and you can obviously then paste in the hash to that location. And so if it was a PDF or something, you could actually just modify the hash to be a link, you know, and you can put in other documents, those kind of things. I'm just going to do it with an image for now because it gets pre-formatted. So I select my image, which is a really cool illustration from a Mozilla Firefox page I saw the other day. That then is uploading it to IPFS, and then that's decentralized. So that's now starting to be shared across peers. And what I now need to do is, though, before I do any more uploading or any of that kind of stuff, well, I could do more typing, I just can't do any more uploading. I need to click, if I click this little download thing, that will get the last file that I just put into IPFS and format it in the same markdown as an image file. So I click that, that goes away in the background, does a few things, and now if I go into this node and paste, you'll see that if I go to read mode, that image has now been successfully added. Okay, so once we've kind of got to somewhere here, we might start moving these things around. Maybe we're discussing them. Maybe I want to switch some of my edit ones back into read mode because I just want to focus on the content. I'm no longer wanting to edit them. Maybe I don't like this concept here, it's not so good, so I'm just going to discard that for now. What we can then do is we can jump to connection mode. So I can press C on the keyboard, or I can tap the little connection icon, and I can start to then draw. And again, this is shown in real time across multiple devices. I can start to draw between the icon, the things that I want to connect. So if I do C, sometimes you'll notice that the buttons are maybe obscured or hidden, and I could just stay in this and start just connecting these. And again, you know, if we've got multiple people, and if I switch actually to the other browser so you can start to see it, and I'll make this window a little bit smaller, what you'll see is that if I come back to this one, okay, I keep going to that, which doesn't help. So here, if I turn on connection mode here, you'll see that I can drag this around, which, okay, no one sees what I'm doing at this point, but now when I let go on there, make that connection, you'll see that connection is being formed in the live on the other browser. And what you'll note, there's a couple of little tweaks that when you're moving things around, that the connections now currently are sitting in the top of each thing. They don't go from button to button. And if I was to create another connection from here to here, there is in fact two, and there always will be two, but once those nodes have moved, those two are together, and we haven't got any visual representation to show that they've been connected twice. That will be coming. So there's going to be a little value here that shows the number of times something's been connected, because that might also give an indication as to its usefulness in flashing out an idea. Maybe also location, and again you can use different options in here to decide how you might want to organize things. You could organize it in all kinds of different ways. Okay, so the other thing just to note, obviously if I've discarded any nodes, which I did discard one, I can actually jump to the discarded view, which at the moment is really unstyled, but you can see here will be a list of any discarded nodes. I can just hit restore, and then that will now be restored to its position. Okay, the only other bug to mention, and just great to just go and have a play, but again, you've got, it really should be a couple of people you want to know, get together, or at least getting together to thrash out an idea. Now we've been doing it obviously when we could in the physical space, so people were using their own devices in the studio, and we'd have this up on a big screen as well. But if you can't do that, you have to work remotely, then again, a good tip I think is jump on any kind of video tool that you like to use, whatever that is, Teams, Slack, pop that up in the corner, whilst also moving and navigating things in this space. So I'd love to get your feedback on all of that. The only other bug is if I connect, so say if I connect this node from here to here, and then if I discard this node, you'll see the connection still stays active. So that shows that there's a discarded node that was connected. Now I haven't decided what we're going to do about that at this point. Maybe this connection will change to represent that someone has discarded something, but it was connected. It might be useful. And again, it's only me who can see my discarded nodes, so no one else can see those. Okay, cool. So please have a go, some play, test, and give me some feedback. That would be great. So yeah, follow the link to the feedback forum in YouTube below.